Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, verse 7. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivrajakachaja Astotara Sata Shri Srimad Aisi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gora Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Mathura Dham Ki Jai Navadip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samavetha Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, verse 7. Yastu indriyani manasa nyamya arbhate arjuna karmendriya karma yogam ashakta sa vishishyate. Yastu indriyani manasa nyamyarabhate arjuna karmendriyai karma yogam ashakta sa vishishyate. Yastu indriyani manasa nyamyarabhate arjuna karmendriyai karma yogan ashakta sa vishishyate. One who, tu but indriyani senses, manasa by the mind, niyamya regulating, arabhate begins, Arjuna, O Arjuna, karma indriyai by the active sense organs, karma yogam devotion, ashakta without attachment, sa he, vishishyate by far the better. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. On the other hand, he who controls the senses by the mind and engages his active organs in works of devotion without attachment is by far superior. Purport. Instead of becoming a pseudo-transcendentalist for the sake of wanton living and sense enjoyment, it is far better to remain in one's own business and execute the purpose of life, which is to get free from material bondage and enter into the kingdom of God. The prime Swartagati, or goal of self-interest, is to reach Vishnu. The whole institution of Varna and Ashrama is designed to help to reach this goal of life. A householder can also reach destination by regulated service in Krishna consciousness. For self-realization, one can live a controlled life as prescribed in the Shastra and continue carrying out his business without attachment, and in that way make progress. Such a sincere person who follows this method is far better situated than the false pretender, who adopts a show of spiritualism to cheat the innocent public. A sincere sweeper in the street is far better than a charlatan meditator who meditates only for the sake of making a living. Yastu indriyani manasa nyamnya arabate Arjuna karmen indriya karmana yogam ashakta sa vishishyate. So Krishna is continuing his explanation from the previous verse, verse 6, where he says that one who makes a show of devotional service, who makes a show of spirituality, of yoga, then he's just a pretender. There are many such people. They make a little progress in spiritual life, and then they present themselves as preachers or yogis or jnanis or sannyasis in India. And in this way, they explain what they have conceived as spirituality. But the business behind that explanation, behind that practice of yoga or religion or austerity, behind that show of spirituality, is a desire to be special, a desire to be number one, a desire to be worshipped by others. And Krishna says this is just a pretense. Better you, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, our Param Guru, the Guru of my Guru, he said, it is far better to be a sincere sweeper in the street than a pretentious Swami. And of course, if you travel in India, you see so many pretentious Swamis. And their main philosophy is that we are all God. That simply by following some external process, we can come to the point of becoming God. But that is not a fact. By following any process, whether it is studying of the Vedas, whether it is performing austerities, whether it is to practice perfect varnashram in household life, whether it is to accept the order of sannyas, whether it is to live in the forest or in the Himalayas, all these things cannot produce understanding who is God. To get understanding of who is God and what is my relationship with Him, you need to be blessed by the dust of the lotus feet of a pure devotee. It's very nice things. And in the Vedas, there are so many examples. The great devotees that we worship, at the beginning of creation, for example, with Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj became a devotee because he was blessed by Narada Muni. Even before he was born, when Prahlad was in the womb of his mother, she was the wife of this great demon, Hiranyakashipu. And the demigods had defeated Hiranyakashipu and captured his wife, and they were about to kill her. And Narada Muni stopped them and said, no, don't kill this woman. First of all, according to the Vedic systems, children, women, old men, and brahmanas can never be killed, can never be punished. And the demigods answered to Narada Muni, actually, we don't really want to kill this woman. We know that it is not allowed. But in this woman, there is the seed of the demon Hiranyakashipu. His son is in the woman. We want to kill him because he will come out and be just as bad as his father. So Narada Muni said, no. He says, he is not a demon. The soul which is in the womb of this mother is a very great devotee. So on the say-so of Narada Muni, they allowed the woman to be free, and he took her to his ashram, and every day he would explain Vedic knowledge, Srimad Bhagavatam, to her out of his mercy. She was also listening, but within the womb, that's fetus, the baby, he was also listening, Prahlad Maharaj. So he became a devotee by the blessing of another devotee, Narada Muni. And of course, the other example at the beginning of the creation is Dhruva Maharaj. Also, just a little boy. He was insulted by his stepmother in the chamber of the king. He was forbidden to express his affection to his father, the king, and his father was hesitant to reciprocate this affection because he was afraid of his wife, who was the second wife. She was not the mother of Dhruva. Dhruva had a brother, Uttama, and they were born from different mothers. So, Suniti and Suruchi. So, Dhruva Maharaj was insulted by his stepmother, and then he decided to go to the forest and practice austerities to meet the Supreme Personality of Godhead so that he could regain the kingdom which he lost, which was his rightful inheritance, being the eldest son. He didn't go to the forest to cheat anybody. He didn't go to the forest to become a great devotee or to become a great spiritual leader or a great renouncer. No, he went to the forest not for name and fame. He went to the forest to meet God. Still, even though his intention was pure, even though his intention was to meet God, he needed the blessing of a pure devotee. And on the way to the forest, he came across Narada Muni, who stopped him and he said, "My dear prince, where are you going?" Prince said, he was only 5 years old, he was a little boy. He said, "I'm going to the forest to meet God." So Narada, he tested him and said, "Actually, you're very small. You don't need to do this. Later on, when you get a little older, you can do this. But right now, better you go back home. Your parents are crying for you. They're afraid, they're upset that you left." So Dhruva said, "Please, don't cheat me. I am asking you to help me to find God. You're a great sage. You can help me. If you can help me, please do so. Otherwise, please, don't try to dissuade me." So Narada Muni gave him this mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This is a mantra we chant every day before we read Srimad Bhagavatam. And through this mantra and through the blessing of Narada Muni, Dhruva Maharaj was able to meet Lord Vishnu face to face. So this is the process. The process to understand Krishna is to get the blessing of his pure devotee. Again and again, if you read in the Vedas, it is explained that this is the only way. It is the only way because Krishna is not available to just anybody. Krishna belongs to his pure devotees. He has already sold his heart and soul to his devotees. He has no independence. He cannot be independent of his devotees. And because his devotees have Krishna within their heart, they are able to give him to others. This is the great mystery. If you look at the latest history, the latest great wave of mercy from the spiritual world, which was enacted by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even though Lord Chaitanya was Krishna himself, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Naya Anya. Radha and Krishna are not different. They are personified in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And if you study his history in Chaitanya Charitamrita, which Prabhupada has so nicely written and translated for us, if you study his history, you'll see that in the beginning of his life as a young boy, he became very expert in Vedic knowledge, especially in logic and Vedanta. He was so knowledgeable, so powerful in his knowledge, he defeated every other knowledgeable person in India. In those days, they didn't have Olympic Games. There wasn't big sporting activities to see who was the greatest. Of course, the Kshatriyas, they would fight among each other, they would have tournaments. But what was considered the greatest was not personal, physical, or mental prowess. What was considered the greatest was how much knowledge of the spirit a person had. And they would have competition to see who had the highest knowledge. And Lord Chaitanya was the winner. He defeated Keshava Kashmiri, who was the Digvijay. Dig means distant, Dig means direction, and Vijay means to be victorious. So this Digvijay, who was victorious in all directions, came to Navadip, and he was defeated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So up to his teenage years, Mahaprabhu was very well known for his knowledge, but he didn't manifest the hidden treasure of love of God, love of Krishna. That came after. That came when he went to Gaya to offer pinda, or to offer sacrifice in the memory of his father. When he was in Gaya, he met Ishvarapuri and took initiation from him. Ishvarapuri was a disciple of Madhavendra Puri. Madhavendra Puri was an acharya in the Madhva Sampradaya. So through this connection of Ishvarapuri, through the blessing of the pure devotee Ishvarapuri, Mahaprabhu's life completely changed. When he came back to Navadip, there was no longer discussion about logic and rhetoric. There was no longer discussion about Vedanta. There was no longer discussion about grammar, Sanskrit. There was only talk from him about Krishna. Everything he would explain was about Krishna. He had a school, Mahaprabhu, in Navadip, a small school, and his students suddenly saw that their teacher, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, no longer spoke of Vedanta, no longer spoke of grammar, no longer spoke of Vedic knowledge. He simply spoke of Krishna. Every rule, every aphorism, every sutra, he would convert it to connect it to Krishna. So much so that later on, one of his disciples, Jiva Goswami, he compiled a grammar called the Hari Namamrita Vyakaran, which is a grammar which explains Sanskrit grammar, like following in the footsteps of Panini, but instead of logic, everything is connected to Krishna. Every rule of grammar, every sandhi, every source of knowledge of grammar was connected with Krishna. So in this way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became like a madman after he got the mercy of being initiated by a pure devotee, by Ishvarapuri. So he taught us by his example that if you want to make spiritual progress, you need the mercy of a pure devotee. That's why we make such a big deal of Srila Prabhupada. That's why we love his books so much. That's why we love his lectures so much. That's why we consider that his society belongs to him, even though he's not physically present. Because by his mercy, one can actually understand Krishna, even to this day. Don't think that because Prabhupada isn't physically present, you cannot connect to him. Not at all. Simply by reading his books. I didn't meet Prabhupada until almost 2 years after I became very, very serious about spiritual life. So serious that for 1 year I was chanting every day, almost 64 rounds. I was studying hours and hours his books. And later on, and during the middle of this procedure, I suddenly realized that I'm making progress because I am reading Prabhupada's books, because I am begging for his mercy. Therefore, I fell down on my knees in front of his picture and I said, from this day on, I want to accept you as my guru. I have not physically met you, but whatever I can do to please you, whatever I can do to push forward your movement, I will do. Please accept me as your disciple. So later on, after a year, when I actually met Prabhupada and he actually physically gave me initiation, first and second, that was only a confirmation of the agreement I'd made with him 1 year before. So, and of course, he's on record as saying that he will never die. He will always live in his books. Therefore, we value his books very much. Because by his mercy, by the dust of his lotus feet, we can get Krishna. Believe me, before Prabhupada came to the West, there was so much knowledge. There was no lack of knowledge about the Bhagavad Gita. There were 20 more translations in English, in German. The Germans had studied Vedic knowledge. They had written the Große Woordenbuch, a Sanskrit German publication of many, many volumes. They had university seats, both in Germany, in England, in America, dedicated to the study of Sanskrit. All the great mystics and scholars in the West, philosophers in the West, were conversant with the Bhagavad Gita. Sages from India came to America, like Vivekananda. He made such a big show in Chicago at the Assembly of World Religions, and everybody appreciated his explanations of the Vedas. Even President Kennedy, he was a student of forget his name. One great president of India who actually wrote a commentary on Bhagavad Gita. He was also a professor in America, and President Kennedy studied under him. So people were knowledgeable about Vedas. People knew about Indian culture. But despite all this, there wasn't one pure devotee of Krishna. Not one. Because none of these people were pure devotees. In fact, they were impersonalists, Mayavadis, because they had tried to reach Krishna by their own effort. But when Prabhupada came, he didn't come by his own effort. He came begging the mercy of Krishna. When he arrived in America, he said, "My dear Krishna, you have brought me here. I don't know how to convince these people about Krishna consciousness. But if you want, you can make my words sweet." He came and he brought Krishna. He didn't bring himself. He stayed in the background. And as I was explaining before, in the Vedas, so many great devotees became liberated and re-established their eternal relationship with Krishna by the mercy of a pure devotee. Even in the 4th canto, there is a story of Jad Bharat. So Bharata was the emperor of this world many, many hundreds of thousands of years ago. And he became so attached to Krishna that in his youth he abandoned his kingdom, he abandoned his family, and he simply went to the forest to try and reconnect his lost relationship with the Lord. Yo dustyajan dara sutan. There are things which are very, very difficult to give up. One is dara. Dara means wife. Sutan means children. So dustyajan, difficult to renounce. Tyaga means to renounce, and dush means difficult. So yo dustyajan dara sutam surid rajam ridis prishaha. Not only the wife and children, but surid, friends, rajam, kingdom, ridis prishaha. They are very tightly bonded within the heart. People don't want to give up anything. They are so attached to material life. But jayo yuvaiva malavat uttama shloka lalasa. Nonetheless, this great king Bharat, he gave it up as if it was untouchable, as if it was stool, untouchable. Why? Uttama shloka lalasa. He became very much attracted to uttama shloka. And he left his kingdom, and because of this great sacrifice, this great teaching, that the purpose of life is not to enjoy material kingdom. The purpose of life is to understand our relationship with God. In honor of that sacrifice that he made, the planet Earth was changed from Ilabhrita to Bharatvarsha. And to this day, in India is called Bharat. So, when he was in the forest, even though he was almost perfectly realized, somehow he became attached to a deer, and he took birth as a deer, and then he took another birth as a Brahmin called Jat Bharat. So this Jat Bharat, from the moment he was born, Krishna gave him the understanding, even when he was born as a deer, Krishna gave him the understanding of what was going on. He remembered his previous lives. So when he was born as a Brahmana, he acted as if he was foolish. He acted as if he was dumb and deaf. He didn't follow. His father, the Brahmin, tried to teach him Brahminical culture, but he would purposely make mistakes. He became the laughingstock in his family. His brothers, they thought he was useless. They put him in the fields to clap his hands to keep away the birds from eating the grain. So in this way, he was captured by some dacoits. He was going to be killed in front of Mother Kali. Mother Kali saved him. She killed all the dacoits. And then as he was walking, he came across a king and his entourage. King was called Rahugana. So Rahugana, he was being carried on a palanquin, and one of the palanquin carriers had become ill. He couldn't do his work. So when they saw this Jat Bharat sitting on the side of the road, they said, "Oh, you look like a strong fellow, come." And they got him to carry the palanquin. So during this exchange, Jat Bharat explained to the king that actually carrying the palanquin was not really his activity. Carrying the palanquin is something which everybody does in the material world, but the purpose of life, even for the king, was not to be carried around on a palanquin by other people. The purpose of life was to understand and to get the mercy of a pure devotee. Therefore, when the king inquired, Jat Bharat said, "Rahugana itad tapasa nayati na chidjaja nirvapanad kriyamva." That, my dear king, you cannot make progress in spiritual life by becoming a yeti. A yeti means a sannyasi. Nor by performing tapasa or austerities. Nor by performing varnashrama within the house. Not by taking sannyas. Not chandasa. Not by studying the Vedas on your own. Not by practicing austerities underwater in the winter or in the fire in the summer. No. How? Vina mahat pada rajo bhikshakam. Unless, of course, all these things are very favorable, but they will not work, they will not give you the final destination unless you get the blessing of the pada raja, of the dust of the lotus feet of a pure devotee. This is the teachings of the Vedas. This is why we keep insisting, Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. We don't like to see anybody take his place, because we know for a fact, I know for a fact, and most of my God brothers, all of my God brothers know for a fact, that without the mercy of Prabhupada, we wouldn't be anywhere near in our connection with Krishna. Thank you very much. So, we have some comments from Major Confusion. Atmavidya Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Jai Nitya Gaur, Krishna Premavati Dasi, Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams, Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha. Yes, the devotees like Prabhupada or Vanchakalpa, they are desire trees. Anna Maria, Hare Krishna, obeisances, all glory to Srila Prabhupada. Mandy, Hare Krishna. Krishna Premavati Devidasi comments, thus to the lotus feet of the pure devotees equal getting blessing by pleasing pure devotees through submissive service and appropriate inquiries. Correct. Ronald Singh, why does Srila Prabhupada? Why not ISKCON Guru? Why only Srila Prabhupada? Well, I can only speak for myself. Most of the ISKCON Gurus are my God brothers. I know them intimately very well. But the kind of mercy that I got came from Srila Prabhupada. Now for you it may be different. But even an ISKCON Guru will become perfect if he puts Prabhupada forward. In any case, it is the duty of a disciple to bring his followers to the lotus feet of his Guru. And the whole of ISKCON is built upon Srila Prabhupada's books. No one can compare to him. If we think we are as good as Prabhupada, if we think we can take worship on the same level as Prabhupada, if we think we know as much as Prabhupada, if we think we can increase our disciples unlimitedly like Prabhupada, then we are on very shaky ground. Thank you very much. See you next Friday. Hare Krishna.